brought over, they use their dogs to chase them and kill them and like stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty horrific.
Well, I'm glad that's like the same shit that happened here though.
Mhm.
But, like we don't learn like a very subdued version.
Yeah.
So,
No, in Jamaica they really talk about it and celebrate it. That's like part of
Yeah.
the history. And they talk. We learn a lot about slavery too. Because yeah, it was them first, and then the slaves came over, and then they talk about like, because we have a lot of Chinese people,
Really?
so much, and they even speak Patois, because
Really?
they've had like generations. I know, it's like when Brennan came for the first time, he's like, why is that Chinese guy like? It's so weird to like see it, but no. So yeah, so because they came over. After when all like the slavery kind of ended,
It was
and people,
part of the plan. I think they brought people from different parts, so you couldn't communicate to each other with each other, like from China, from
Mhm.
India, from Africa.
Mhm.
So
So
you
it's like a
can
creative
understand each other exactly. So
Mhm.
they were very smart. They started to create something so they could kind of, no, actually they could do something against the British.
Mm.
So that's how they
Like a resistance.
Mhm.
exactly
Yeah.
resistance. That's what I was working.
yeah, because there were like a lot of
Yeah.
riots and like revolutions and stuff like that. Yeah, and then so now we do have a lot of Indian people, but we don't. They're not indigenous. They're just like
Okay.
Pakistani people. Like yeah.
Like East Indian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
East
more
Indian?
like East Indian now than indigenous, yeah. And then they mix with
Interesting.
with like black people,
Really?
and then we call them coolie.
Really?
Yeah. So like even within the country,
Isn't that
there's
like an
like
ice
little.
cream place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like in Jamaica, we call them coolie. But in Trinidad, because Trinidad is mostly Indian people,
Mhm.
if you call them coolie there, it's offensive.
Mm.
So they call them Douglas, the mix between, and even there in Trinidad, they don't want that mix. They don't like that mix either. The mix between like
Really?
the black people and the Indian people. So funny.
Oh, God forbid.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll be like, now I'm interested to like that my sister's gonna go there and like hear about her experience. It sounds like
Yeah.
it's so diverse. Yeah. Cool.
Mhm.
Well, thanks for that lesson.
Yeah.
Alright, let's get started. Maybe we'll be
Has this been recording the whole time?
just like maybe 2 minutes of it, which is
Oh.
going to be really interesting to hear about. Don't worry, I'll cut that part out. Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Haley, and the group today is on dissecting and embracing body image. So before we dive in, I just want to discuss confidentiality. So all the information and stories shared here is confidential, unless you're going to harm yourself or someone else. So let's get started. How about we go around and say our names first, and then we're going to do a little energizer game because we're all kind of like falling asleep here.
I'm Jessiane.
I'm Erin.
Roisin.
Can.
Alrighty, so everyone can get up. And everybody take an object. And stand. Oh, okay. You're ready. Okay. So I'm going to read a story, and every time you hear the word right, pass it to the right, so you guys can get in a circle if you want.
Oh.
And every time you hear the word left, pass it to the left. Okay? One day, the Wright family decided to take a vacation. The first thing they had to decide was who would be left at home, since there was not enough room in the Wright family car for all of them. Mr. Wright decided that Aunt Linda Wright would be the one left at home. Of course, this made Aunt Linda Wright so mad that she left the house immediately, yelling, "It would be a right cold day before I return." The Wright family now bundled up the children, Tommy Wright, Susan Wright, Timmy Wright, and Shelley Wright, and got in the car and left. Unfortunately, as they turned out of the driveway, someone had left a trash can in the street, so they had to turn right around and stop the car. They told Tommy Wright to get out of the car and move the trash can so they could get going. Tommy took so long that they almost left him in the street. Once the Wright family got on the road, Mother Wright wondered if she had left the stove on. Father Wright told her not to worry. He had checked the stove and she had not left it on. As they turned right at the corner, everyone started to think about other things that they might have left undone. No need to worry now. They were off on a right fine vacation. When they arrived at a gas station, Father Wright put gas in the car and then discovered that he had left his wallet at home. So Timmy Wright ran home to get the money that was left behind. After Timmy had left, Susan Wright started to feel sick. She left the car saying that she had to throw up. This, of course, got Mother Wright's attention, and she left the car in a hurry.
I don't have any.
Shelley Wright wanted to watch Susan get sick, so she left the car too. Father Wright was left with Tommy Wright, who was playing a game in the back seat. With all of this going on, Father Wright decided that this was not the right time to take a vacation, so he gathered up all of the family and left the gas station as quickly as he could. When he arrived home, he turned left into the driveway and said, "I wish the Wright family had never left the house, right?"
Right.
We're done.
I don't know.
Which one was mine? I don't even know.
I don't know if yours is. Oh, this is your actual pen. That's what you're saying. Gotcha.
Get that.
It was interesting that how we all were looking down to be focused.
I was looking
I know, I was
at it,
like,
just
well,
like my
because
eyes
whenever
glazed over
I
and
get
was like,
distracted
yeah.
by people's, like, so I just listen to the story, right, left, right.
So I first want to ask how that felt for everyone to do.
Made me anxious.
It's stressful.
And I heard that some people were focused on hearing versus visual. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, at first I kind of was up, but then once you started right and left and right, like hearing it so much, I had to get focused. Like I get distracted by people's visual like faces, basically. So then I had to just listen. Okay, right, right. And then even then, it was so great. I loved it. Like I think because it for me it wasn't like we're not competing against another team or like prizes. When I was a youth, I get all nervous because I feel like I wasn't helping the team to win or something. But because we're just doing it for fun, then I loved it. It was really funny. So we totally got jumbled up and literally like, for a while, like, what is happening? We don't have a pen. Or like two people had 2 pens.
Yeah.
But it was just funny. It was so funny. So I really loved it.
Farron tried to help by saying right, left.
I know,
right.
by the end of it, and that's so me, like, because I'm like, really, like, I like to get things right, and I like to, like, I don't know, when nobody, like, I'm fine, like, not being in charge, but I definitely, like, do tend to take that, like, organizational role. So I was like, yeah, okay, started saying it out loud.
So you guys can all recognize some type of way that you were like working together or trying to help one another?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that was just to kind of get the energy back up because I noticed we were all kind of quiet. So before we get started, I want to create some safety rules. And if everybody can just give out one rule in order to make this group feel safe, and we'll write them down so that it's more of a personal group environment, that would be great. So does anyone have one they want to start with? And it can even just be a word too. It doesn't have to be a full sentence.
No judgments. We can go with that.
Yeah, it's a good one. I feel like the confidentiality, like, this is a more sensitive topic, I feel like, so, like, actual confidentiality is probably...
Like, and you mean the whole thing about, like, if we share a story, taking names out, but maybe not that?
Yeah, like, maybe not, because even that, I mean, like, if you tell, like, I don't know, your sister in Fort St. John, like, probably, and leave the name out, probably that's fine, you know, but, like...
Yeah, so just trying to make this.
But like, yeah, like, but yeah, like, no, probably not talking to other people about stories, like people in our program about stories that you hear today.
Okay, so no judgment, confidential. Anything else?
Again, I think I've said it before. This is me such I statements of just if you are upset to kind of focus on yourself and why you are, but not blaming others.
unless it's sensitive topic. Is that what it is? Or yeah, being sensitive to the sensitive topic.
I like awareness, like so because it's sensitive, it's more awareness than it is
Yeah.
sensitive.
Okay. So does everyone agree with the safety line? Okay, so everybody has a piece of paper sticking out and a pen, I believe. So, okay, so when we hear the term body image, what comes to mind? And I want you guys to write down a couple sentences or words when you hear the term body image.
So just 2 words or however
You
many
can write a
words.
sentence, whatever you want, even if it's just words that instantly come to mind when you hear the term body image.
On different like sheets or all.
I just gave you extra just in case you. And it's not necessarily about you, it's just the term in general. And just raise your hand when you're ready. Okay, so after writing just words or sentences that come to mind, if anybody would like to share their thoughts or what came to mind when hearing the term body image. Fat.
Yeah, but fat, skinny, obese. Just the word anorexia. Comparing self-doubt, self-esteem, like feeling like you're being watched or judged. Negative or positive self-talk, and then cognitive distortion.
So body image really brought up a lot around terms of weight, shape.
My first thing I put is like social expectations, and then I put like self-love or lack of self-love, dysmorphia, unrealistic expectations, and body talk.
So I hear a lot about expectations and the connection to social.
Yeah, I think it's more about like the language around body and stuff like that, and then the social constructs.
Does anybody else have any?
I guess I had size, fitness level, food, emotions, and people's perception.
Okay. I also have.
Anxiety, shame, depression.
Okay, that's interesting. How does anxiety and depression, like how would you fit that into body image?
I'm just saying this because of my
Your own, okay.
I feel like when I feel look in the mirror and feel fat, I'm more depressed. I know I get more depressed and my anxiety level goes up.
Okay, so feelings are really connected to the term body image. Justine, do you want to share?
I think it was funny for me, even though I know that body image is like, well, first I wrote physical, like a body image usually is physical, but then a lot of what I wrote was like, okay, well, yeah, what are norms or what's socially constructed about it, and pressures, and just the word beauty of it kind of, I don't know, I feel like a lot of body images, it kind of is representing beauty, what people think is beautiful is how you look. And then self-conscious. A lot of things were similar, exactly the same as everyone else, but those were, I think, ones that were a bit different. But yeah, basically. Oh, and shame, just again a feeling of shame of that. Oh, I'm not that body type, or like kind of it made me think that it always seems like there's a certain body type that's like the most beautiful, and if you don't have that, oh, it sucks for you. You just have to live that you're sad that you don't have that body type.
So I heard a lot of like feelings around body, and the word body, like just the term in general, brings up feelings, like feeling words and comparison and expectation. So I wrote it down just because I know some people are like visual learners. When you look at body image from 4 aspects of how you see your body, how you feel about your body, how you think about your body, and the way you behave as a result of how you see, feel, and think about your body, if we take those 4 and keeping them in mind, I want you guys to reflect on your own sense of body image. So not so much the term, but your own sense and what it means to you and what significance it plays in your life. And you can write them down or share them. And if you don't want to share, that's totally okay.
Well, maybe I'll do a self-disclosure here. So I actually did struggle with an eating disorder, like quite a few years ago now. But, and like I looked at my body and like it wasn't like people on Instagram or, like all the people that you see in media. So it was definitely like a journey for me. I ended up deleting my Instagram for a while and stuff like that. And I don't really know like exactly, like you can't really like think about the exact journey, but like where I am now is definitely like I completely deleted my Instagram. Like that was just like a trial run, but I completely deleted my Instagram. I don't have Twitter or anything like that because I just find like having all those images and those expectations from society are really like, I just really stopped and thought about like, okay, what do I actually need to share with the world, and like what do I need? What messages do I need back? And so now, like, it's definitely like some days you look at yourself and you're like, oh great, like definitely could lose a few pounds, like don't really feel very good about myself, but I've really gotten to a place where it's just like, this is my body and this is the vessel that carries me, and like, so what if I get a little bit chunky, like I'm living my life and that's totally fine. So it definitely, I think it changes, like some days I think being healthy, right? Like it's not about like, what is the point of living in this body if it's not going to last because I don't treat it with like the fuel that it needs. But
I really like how you used the term, like your body is a vessel, because I do believe that it does take you places, and I like how you put a not definition on what health is supposed to look like, especially if it's an unhealthy, but it's what you would rather appear to look like.
yeah,
So thank you.
I think so. I just remembered like the turning point for me was I went to a funeral of someone who I'd been really close with, and she was like quite a large lady, like quite large. And there was so many people at her funeral that just like shared about what a wonderful human she was, and it just like really hit me in that moment that what I look like will not matter when I die. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And I just want to put it out there that terms, especially like if terms offend you or feel like a certain way inside or uncomfortable, it's totally okay. I don't see the word fat as a bad word, just as skinny or thin So just to be mindful of that, not to feel like that you can't use wording. Does anybody else want to share how body image, what it means to them, or what has, I guess, impacted body image in their life, whether it's family, culture?
My family is very blunt,
Okay.
and so they will not hesitate or hold back. Be like, you look a little fat. You could probably work out. And my parents, I don't think we've all just come to realize they don't mean it in a bad way. They just have a perception of what you should look like, or you're not being healthy if your belly is big, or like stuff like that. And they are very much like, that's their couple thing they do. They go to the gym like 5 times a week. So excessive. But yeah, they'll be like, you and Brendan should probably like cut back on some of the things that you eat, or cut back on some of these things. But now Brendan and I just ignore them for most of the time. But yeah, but in terms of like family, they're very opinionated and very much like, this is what you should like look like. You should work out often. You should be doing all these things. Yeah.
So I heard that you recognize that like you're able to ignore it in some sense.
Mm-hmm.
And how was that beforehand?
Beforehand, I would just get super annoyed and be like, shut up, or I don't want to hear it. Like, yes. And I guess it was because it wasn't, they'll say to my sisters, other sisters too. So I feel like we had just like strength in more numbers to be like, I'm going to be annoyed. I'm probably going to ignore you for like the next 2 hours that I'm here, but we'll change the conversation and move to something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
So has anyone else had that where family is a big factor in the way they?
Oh, yeah. Big time. I think when I was growing up, I started playing basketball, and I was good at playing basketball, so I joined the team, and on national level we were playing. So when you play basketball, those things, you have like your muscles, and I have 2 sisters. They were like very tiny and very feminine. I remember one of my sisters told me, "You're giant beast. You have a big body, right?" They were making fun of it. And it was like, that was the only time that I heard this. Or she never said it again. We were just discussing, I don't know, something bad and how this came up. And then I looked at her, and looked at my body, but I became cautious of, wait a minute, yeah, she's thin. And I started to wearing her skirt, and I remember it was like, I couldn't even, do the zipper. And I felt terrible. It was just, our bodies were different, right? It wasn't that I was big or something. I was pretty fit as an athlete. But it made me aware of, I'm not good. I'm not like my sisters. They have the beautiful body. They have the beautiful skin tone. They're nice. Look, their eyes are hazel, and mine black. It's just, I suck. Right? I was keep thinking that, oh my God, I have the terrible look in my family. And also, some people who were coming to home, I remember they were telling my mom, who's she? And mom said, she's my younger daughter. And she said, oh no, she doesn't look like your other children. And I was like, it's terrible. So I was I think this struggle is not, you necessarily don't overcome it. It's a struggle that you accept it, you're aware of it, and you feel like I became into a peace with it at some point, but it doesn't mean that I'm totally happy with my body and saying, yes, I added 5 pounds and yay. No, nothing like that.
Yeah, so like from what I hear is it's not necessarily that you're gonna embrace yourself in a way that is like, I love myself completely and wholly, and I guess boast about it, but accept a part of yourself.
Exactly. That's a very, I'm a human being, and some days I add weight, sometimes I lose weight, and that's totally fine as long as I'm healthy. It's just that.
Thank you for sharing. Does anybody else want to share? Jordan?
I don't know. Family definitely has a big impact on how we think about ourselves, I'm sure. Just like, one line that someone said 20 years ago, you can still remember exactly what they said, kind of thing. Yeah, I don't really want to share a whole lot, but yeah, my mom's kind of an asshole. So.
That's totally okay not to share, but I noticed that everybody started nodding when Jordan spoke about like one word even 20 years ago that you can remember.
Exactly.
So, does anybody else want to share before I get into an activity?
I guess like the one thing that's been interesting to me to look at is the I guess health versus body image.
Okay.
Because with my family, it wasn't. My mom was like my family's really nice. Like they never commented on like, oh, you need to lose weight ever. It was actually when I lost weight and felt good about myself that my mom's like, you're way too skinny. You need to get. It was like she wasn't used to me being less. So it was actually the opposite of like, you need to put on weight and like, you're gonna destroy yourself or whatever. Anyways, but because she's a nurse, it was more so with, and me having diabetes, it was that I had a certain amount of food that I could only eat. It was like breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, and it was like, you can only eat this. So like at school and stuff, where everyone's choosing what they eat, and then I have like my little half a sandwich or like half of this, and that's all I could have. So it was interesting though, because it taught me portion control. But then I kind of went the other way when I was a teen, once I had technology to deal with diabetes, and I didn't have to eat a certain amount. I was like, woohoo, I can eat whatever I want. Anyway, so it was just interesting that in my mind it wasn't ever that I felt bad from family about myself, but it was like just, I guess, kind of being limited with health, and then seeing how it did affect my body, though, because then I gained a ton of weight when I started eating lots. Obviously, but like I kind of didn't really connect it of like, oh right, actually this is healthy. I just didn't want it because I had to do it, and it was a requirement for this portion thing. But then realizing like, oh, that was actually a good way, and I was never hungry. Honestly, I never felt hungry because it's like that was enough for me, what I was eating. And
No, that's really interesting. I love how everybody has shared like a different perspective and story when we talk about body image. So one thing I want to do is, does everybody have a cell phone?
Mm-hmm.
Can we take out our cell phones? Yeah, go for it. So one thing that I noticed when talking about body image was social media, or just like society, whether it's family, friends, you name it. So what I want everyone to do is pull up a social media app if you do use social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, the internet.
I deleted my Facebook app, so I have to go into Safari to open it because I like.
Yeah, that's
I
okay.
had my Facebook too, but I have my Instagram.
Okay, so some of you are using Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
some are using Facebook. Is there anything else that we're using? Reddit? Yeah, no, that counts. So using social media, what I want you to do is take into account these 5 questions and just answer them yes or no. And you can write it down or just keep it in mind and reflect on them. So I want you to go through your photos, go through your Explorer page, whether it's Reddit, Facebook, your statuses, your comments, and just take time to answer these questions for yourself. And this doesn't also have to be like present, like it can be like past photos or statuses, if that comes to mind. Has everyone completed? Okay, so after going through photos or posts, comments, and likes, does anybody have anything they want to share, like that they've learned about that, or in a sense reflection?
Well, I deleted all of it on Facebook. I deleted everyone except for my family, and like I only have like now just only recently I've added like some people from like I'll have really close friends or like people who like are important to keep connected with, like for networking kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, because earning followers, likes, comments did impact the way that I like saw and felt about myself, and it was like a way of getting validation when I wasn't loving myself, and I was definitely comparing myself to other people on social media. So I just stay off it. Like I don't need to see the good parts of people's lives constantly. Like, you know, if people want to connect with me, let's connect one-on-one. But I don't need to, like, you know, I don't need to have a bad day and look and see how great somebody's doing and forget that they also have their own struggles, right? Because that's what basically you do when you look at social media, is you just think everything's good for that person, why isn't it good for me?
I think for me, it's more the comparing your life to others based on social media. Because I'll be like,
I wish I was doing that. I want to do that. I want to go there. I want to do all these things. And more comparing, but it's like Erin said, it's people post the best of themselves, and so you never really know what is going on. But it's hard not to. It's human nature to be like, well, she looks like she's having fun. She looks great. Yeah. That I find. And then I habitually check. Yeah.
After posting?
Yeah.
And I think that's also a very natural thing that has come to be a part with social media. So taking all those questions in, how might social media have an impact on body image and self-esteem? And not just yours, but just in general as well.
Well, because you see all these people that look the same way and they have this like perfect body type that then everyone aspires for, but really you only get that body type if you're born with those genetics. And then you feel crappy about yourself because you can't get the body type.
I feel like you're also being judged all the time when you have a picture on. So, and number 5 stands for me. I don't know when I do it deliberately, because before I thought, oh, everything has to be perfect. You have to post a beautiful picture, but especially on my Instagram, if you go through my pictures, most of them now I have like no makeup on, and it's just early morning, you know, when I off the eyes, and I'm just it was, and I did it. I started doing it because of the feedback that I received. One of my aunts like told my mom that, oh, tell Yusheen to put a better picture. She has a pretty face. Why she's putting all these, like, you know, the picture that she put on is not really nice. And I looked at it. I looked at my picture afterwards, and I was like, you're being judged all the time when you post something. So I started to deliberately know that like I'm studying and my boyfriend took a picture of me and I was like, I look like Albert Einstein, you know. Seriously, I was looking like that and I feel like, yes, this is the way that you probably resisted, or this is the way that maybe you can say, this is me. Like,
So looking at yourself without judgment as for who you are as a person, not necessarily what other people are deeming acceptable or appropriate to look like.
I don't know. I think my relationship with social media is like a little different than yours, I guess. Maybe it's because I'm a boy. I don't know. Like earning followers and likes and things like that doesn't really matter much to me. Like the most likes I ever got on a Facebook post was like 100 or something, and I didn't even think it was that cool. It was just kind of like, that's weird.
And see,
That's a lot.
There's that like judgment, right? That's saying it's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, I reckon like I usually get like 4 or 10 or something. So like I had to kind of look at it like, what is so cool about that? Like I didn't even really. But at the end of the day, it was like whatever. Still, like it didn't really change anything. Like I didn't get any money or anything for that. For things like my job, it matters more. Like I do stuff online, like graphic design. So it's like 200 people have favorited your store, so they might come back. So it's like that I can see more value in, or like you've done this many orders, so like other people see that, and then that means you more likely to get orders. But like as far as Facebook and social media goes, like my Instagram is called Important Lifestyle, and I like basically decided I'm just gonna post things that are like not stupid, and I have 22 posts. But even then, it's like my animals, like if I move into a new place or something like that. I've deleted posts on my Facebook, but that was just because I've had Facebook for like 12 years or 11 years or something, and I didn't like adding people from work. Like I still don't add people from work, even though I can restrict the posts because it's just like cringe. But as far as like Instagram and things like that, I really don't. I don't like think that way. Like if some people I know will upload something and it doesn't get uploads within like a certain amount of time, and it's like, oh, it's a bad post, and they remove it. Or like some of the girls that I know just won't upload it outside of like prime upload hours. Like what the hell is that? Like that's so weird to me. But I understand it, but it's just like a really like that's just not even a consideration for me. Compared to others, like, yeah, definitely. But for the most part, it's like someone posts a picture in BC and they're my Ontario friends. So it's like, oh, like, where in BC? Like, it's more to, like, connect with them rather than just being like, oh, I wish that was me. I've never edited a post. I don't think ever. Yeah, I don't think I've ever, like, doctored an image or anything like that. And as far as notifications go, it's kind of annoying to me, honestly. Like, I don't know. I've never uploaded something and like waited for like a reply. And like I definitely know like my ex-girlfriend was like this. Like she would legitimately post something and wait. Yeah, it's just different, I guess.
I think there's a difference between males and females.
Okay.
And I feel like on social media, you see more girls posting things because, again, girls are more inclined to post and share and share and share. You know, I feel like guys don't. Like, Brennan has 0 social media, and he really doesn't care about it. But I care about all the social media and want to post. And I strategically post things. Like you said, I'm not gonna. I really think about what's prime posting hour. Like when is the appropriate time
post. Like I've never deleted any, but that's because I think in my mind I've posted at the right time that I wouldn't need to delete it. But yeah, I feel like females just think about it more and are more emotional, and guys just kind of don't really think about what they're posting or what they're sharing.
Like, if
Yeah.
I was single, it could be a little different. Maybe. Like, I've had girls that I started dating, and they'll say, like, oh, yeah, I saw that on your whatever. Or, like, they'll want to go to a concert or something, and it's a band that I like because I posted, like, a couple years ago, like, at a concert or whatever. And I don't even think to do that. Like, I legit don't. And it's, like, would you expect your boyfriend or potential boyfriend to, like, look through your stuff and, like, figure out more about you? Or, like,
I wouldn't expect it, but I feel like they
would
do.
you not be
I
surprised?
feel like they definitely always do.
So I like from listening to all the like input and like everybody's like I guess opinions about social media and body image and like how we look and comment and like things. Everybody has a different input to it, but it all I guess I don't know if everybody would agree that it makes you reflect on your own, like hearing Jordan's perspective. How does that make you reflect on your own thoughts about body image?
I feel like girls have more girls on social media who are posting more pictures of themselves, and then if you go and like check the feed, they've liked pictures of other girls and like models and stuff. Whereas guys, it's probably they look at what their friends liked, and it's probably like cars and.
Mine is literally just my friends. Like, my fiance has, like, if you look at her email inbox, it's just like, she literally has 4,000 messages from, like, stores and, like, advertisements, basically. And, like, her Instagram would be the same. She follows, like, beauty people from YouTube and, like, stuff like that. And I just don't really get into that whole side of it. It's just, like, people from high school, like, maybe people from, like, school, but, like, I haven't even thought to ask any of you to add me to Facebook or anything. Like it would be good for, like, networking or something, but I don't know, to me it seems, like, inappropriate almost to ask that.
I feel like the expectations are different between guys and girls.
Social expectation, I think.
Yeah.
You said it at the beginning. I think this is, to me, it's from social expectations and what society really expects from a girl.
Like I feel like boys are not gonna put on makeup and take a selfie and post a photo.
Some of them do.
Some of
but-
them do.
but
Some of them do.
typically,
Yeah,
that's
but typically, it's because like I think about the story Rasheed shared. Like girls will post those photos, meanwhile guys won't post those photos. So then it brings about the whole like, am I? But checking my likes. How many did I get so much? How many did I get so far? Am I posting at the right time to get those likes? Yeah.
You know what's funny is I almost like judge when guys post like selfies of themselves.
Me
that are
too.
edited.
Like why?
We do it, but like when a guy does it, I'm like, kind of weird.
It's weird too, because, like,
Socially constructed.
You're full of yourself. Like,
Yeah.
So as I'm looking at the time, this could go for like a while, but just wrapping up, I just wanted to check in with everybody on how they felt about this topic and reflect on the thoughts about body image and even their own body image. If anybody wants to start.
Well, I guess it just like kind of reiterate what I already know, that social media can have a very negative impact on your life, but it's making choices and being disciplined in those choices. Because I've deleted it, but then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be so good this time. I don't need to go back on. Or I'll be like, oh, this time it'll be better. I won't judge, I won't look, I won't compare, but the cycle just continues. So it's just, I think at the end of the day, if I'm going to keep having it, is like being okay with what I look like and that I'm alright with that. But I feel like that's a process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, I feel like it confirmed a lot of things I already knew. But just thinking about it more, it's like deleting your social media seems to benefit girls more than boys. Like it'd be nice to get away from like Big Brother watching everything I'm doing as a male, like, or whatever. But it's not like, oh, I'm addicted to this thing. And it's kind of interesting as a male perspective because like I have 22 posts. I've been on Instagram for like 2015 or something like that. I don't really feel the need to put more posts, but like I'll still check it. You scroll through, and it's mostly girls, and they both basically are just like presenting themselves to you. Like if I were single or whatever, I literally have like a roster. I could just scroll through it. Like it's kind of weird. It's like, yeah, it's a weird thing as a boy. It's like you basically have girls just like line up and like say like, hey, this is what I got. And it's like, okay, cool, right? And it's, I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Question: are these girls single that are posting, or is that just your assumption that they're presenting
Well,
themselves?
They kind of are. Like,
But I post so many selfies, and I
Yeah.
feel like I'm not presenting myself. Like,
well,
take
not
me.
necessarily. Yeah, not necessarily in that way.
Sorry,
this is a wrap up now.
It's okay, it's okay.
Whole conversation.
So it was really permanent, but also reflective for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, we'll talk about this at cost.
How was it? Just checking out.
It was very good. I feel like some of the group questions got me thinking. Like, do you edit your post before uploading? And it feels like what's really going on. Or if I compare myself, you know, and it opens this door to reflect on how many times did I compare myself to others? You know, so yeah, I think it was very eye-opening.
Definitely let me reflect on like how much different my life has been since deleting my social media. And I think when I officially deleted like most of it and deleted everyone off Facebook, like I think I deleted 800 people off Facebook. It was ridiculous because I've had it since I was like 12. Anyway, it's just like what an impact it's made. And when I originally did, I think it was more to like get off my phone more. But definitely, I think I've accepted and been more like self-loving with myself since.
Awesome. Thank you.
I think I just liked the mesh of body image versus social media because I know it's huge, but for some reason for me, I kind of separated it. For me, I don't know why,
That's awesome.
but I just have like I see how it's fully impacting, but for me, I don't know, I don't post personally for body image or like to put my body on there. It's more like, oh, this was cool, I did this, or like, I don't know, it's for me it's I never posted like this is what I look like. I don't know. So anyways, but it was good to again and I don't follow anyone that is posting about their image, so I think I've just not made it about that. But it still affects me though, because I still see it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, but it was just good to again mesh the two and realize that it affects.
It sounds like you have like a healthy body image.
Sometimes it depends. I've just it might not be if I go into that, but I just choose not to. So it helps me to maintain a better self-image.
Well, thank you guys all for coming. And I was just wondering if maybe in the next session, because we talked about comparing, if you'd like to do an outside activity that involves trees. Comparing trees.
Sure.
If you're down for some more like art outside type stuff. All right, thank you. Thank you. Thanks. What's up with the clap?
I don't know.
I was like, all right.
I started last